Some Democrats in the Senate are saying that before they will consider the president's next nominee, they want a special prosecutor appointed to look into the Russia investigation. Can you respond to both of them?
I think this is a process that's running completely as it should. It's being headed by the Deputy Attorney General, and the Attorney General, as we've noted in the past, the FBI Director reports to the Deputy Attorney General. They continue to move through a series of highly qualified candidates, and it's, obviously this is a huge priority for the President to make sure that we have someone that has the ability to administer the proper leadership to the FBI.
What about on the special prosecutor?
I think there's frankly no need for a special prosecutor. We've discussed this before. You have two Senate committees that are looking into this. The FBI is conducting their own review, and I think if you even look at what Acting Director McCabe said last week, he made it very clear that they have the resources that they need, and that the work continues. But the bottom line is, again, I think part of it is there's a difference between what we've talked about in that, and it's been made very clear that there's been, with respect to the President himself, both Senator Schumer, Senator Feinstein, Senator Manchin, and everyone else who have been briefed on this have been very clear that there was no collusion with respect to the President himself and no investigation there. Alexis.
Sean, can I follow up on the tape question from last week? As you know, several Republicans have joined Democrats in seeking additional information from the White House in writing about the existence of any tapes, producing the tapes, and any further information about the potential taping of conversations. Is the White House intending to cooperate with those requests and furnish that information as requested in writing?
I think I made it clear last week that the President has nothing further on that. Hunter.
Wait, Sean. Does that mean that the President will deny the
I think
request?
I said I was very clear that the President would have nothing further on that last week.
Describing a situation in which the
I
President would defy the legislative branch's request. That's what
I
you're
understand.
saying.
Alexis, I made it clear what the President's position is on that issue. Hunter.
People clearly still have concerns about Russia's role in the election, even though the President has essentially said there's nothing to it. If there is nothing to hide, why not back a special prosecutor or independent commission just to settle it beyond any doubt?
Well, again, it's not a question of, it's at what point you have a House, a Senate, a House committee, a Senate committee, the FBI. I don't know why you need additional resources when you already have three entities.
Well, we saw polling this weekend from NBC News and the Wall Street Journal.
But that's
80% of people want this, and they don't have confidence in
right.
Congress.
With all due respect, I think the bottom line is you have three entities already looking into this matter. I think the President's position has been very clear that there's two issues at hand. One is the involvement of Russia potentially in with respect to an election, and then the President's involvement. The FBI Director and others have made it very clear that the President's not a subject of anything. I think we have plenty of entities looking into that. Trey.
Thanks, John. I have two questions for you, but I guess I'm just looking for some clarity on one of my colleagues' questions here. Why won't you just explain whether or not there are recordings of
I
President's
think the
conversations?
President's made it clear what his position is.
That's not my question. So
I
why
understand
won't
that
you
because
explain?
that's what the President's position is.
So given that you refuse to confirm or deny any of this, how is any senior official supposed to feel comfortable having a conversation privately with the President?
As I've said, Hallie, the President's made it clear what his position is.
Even with these congressional lawmakers
Hallie,
calling to see
I've
if
asked
they exist.
Hallie, I've answered the question over and over again the same way. So if you...
So the second question that I have for you then is on the arguments that are happening now in the Ninth Circuit regarding the administration's travel ban. One of the lines of questioning has been why the President has not disavowed his Muslim ban. Will he do that?
The President, the executive order is fully lawful and will be upheld. We fully believe that. I think there's no question. In fact, in one of the arguments in the previous cases, it was made clear that if anyone else had proposed this, which just shows that it is legally sound, people are misinterpreting it. It was based on the law and the authority that the President rightfully has. That's it, plain and simple. And that's
my question is more: will he
No,
disavow
no,
the ban?
but
He's never said it.
Right.
The
point
lawyer
is,
said he did say he never has.
But the point is that the ban, the measures that he took in that executive order are fully lawful, fully compliant, and make it clear that they seek to keep this country safe. That's it.
But given
Richard.
these questions come
I
up,
know.
is there any indication the President will come out and say, yes, I disavow what I said about letting
right
not
now the
allow
President's
this-
focused on making sure that we make the appropriate arguments to get the ban in place. Jen.
When it comes to vetting for the FBI director, after the experience with Michael Flynn, is the White House recommending doing anything differently with vetting the FBI director? Are you already doing something different with that vetting?
I'm not going to get into internal processes that exist, but obviously, you'd have the full resources of the FBI I'm not going to get into how that process is handled.
Good idea to change things up.
I'm not going to get into the processes of how that's being done.
Sean?
Yeah.
Okay. Two questions. One to follow up on Hallie's question. How has the president made it clear what his position is on the
Yeah, I've
reports?
answered that several
but
times.
how has he made it clear?
Because-
All I've seen is the tweet.
Right. So that's his position. He said that he has nothing further to add.
Okay, but he had tapes and
Caitlin,
quotes.
I understand.
Okay, I just wanted
There's
to get
nothing
a
further to
clarification
add
on
on
it.
that.
My second question is, has he made any other inquiries about the Russia investigation to any other FBI officials?
I don't, not that, I haven't asked him about that, but I'm not aware of
Okay,
anything.
and one small follow-up. Last week you said you would get back to us on who requested the dinner between him and Comey.
I still, I apologize, I will follow up on that today. I think one of the things that's important with respect to that, just to clear something up, I think that there was clearly bipartisan support that Jim Comey wasn't up to the job. The president has every right to fire a person because he believed Director Comey lacked the judgment and the decision-making skills and wasn't up to the job. The president's reaction to this, to what his position has been completely misrepresented. If you think about what he said to NBC News, he said, one, he didn't care that this action would make matters worse for him, that it, quote, might even lengthen out the investigation because he would take action against Jim Comey in firing him. He said that he wants the investigation to be done, quote, absolutely properly. And he said that he might even confuse some people that he would take this action knowing it would make matters worse for him. The actions that he took, he knew could be detrimental to himself. But none of those things mattered because the president had to do the right thing for the American people because he believes that Jim Comey was the wrong man for that position. And I think that we've got to be very clear as to the reason that the president took the actions that he did. He knew that what he did could be detrimental to himself. It could lengthen the investigation. But he knew it was the right thing for the country, the right thing for the FBI, and the right thing to get to the bottom of this.
Why do you believe Comey was the wrong person for the American people?
Because he didn't have the leadership skills necessary to lead that institution. And as he said in the statement at the time, the FBI is the crown jewel of law enforcement, and they deserve a leader that can properly lead the institution. Thank you.
Sean, two questions for you. On North Korea, is there a new sense of urgency for President Trump to act following the successful ballistic missile test over the weekend?
I think there's no question that North Korea continues to threaten the United States, our allies, Japan, South Korea, and its neighbors, including both China and Russia. I think we are calling on all of those folks in the region, particularly China and Russia, to do everything they can in terms of sanctions to help resolve the situation and bring stability to the peninsula.
On a quick domestic issue, what characteristics is President Trump looking for in an FBI director?
I think obviously he wants someone with high integrity and the leadership skills to lead the entity, but I have not specifically discussed the qualities with him. Richard.
Thank you, Sean. Two questions. First one, you told us over and over that for NAFTA we were waiting for Lighthouse, or Robert Lighthouse, as we confirmed now is going to be sworn in. Can you give us a better idea on the pace of the renegotiation of NAFTA now that we have a trade representative?
Well, I think I'd have to check this calendar, but I think we've got an hour or two before he's actually sworn in, so you may want to give him a little bit of time.
But can we say
I don't, because until he's sworn in and assumes positions, as I mentioned, he's going to immediately go up to Capitol Hill and then off to APEC in Vietnam. So I'm sure we'll get around to it, but right now we still need to just go through the process of getting him sworn in. Jim.
Just last week, quickly, H.R. McMaster touched the topic, but when the president will be with NATO allies, is he going to ask for a larger, bigger involvement in Afghanistan with troops on the ground from the members?
I'm not going to get into what he will say or will not say. He'll have an opportunity to make his position very clear when he goes and visit.
Allies with soldiers on the
I think
ground?
he hasn't even, I don't think, we haven't announced the Afghan strategy yet. I think he's been very clear with respect to NATO. There's two issues. One is he'd like to see a greater effort placed on counterterrorism and on combating terrorism, and two is to see more of the countries live up to their financial obligation that they agreed to.
Thank you. That's okay. Considering, in contrast to much of the expression during the French presidential election, and that has been reported in France especially, there may be a lot more in common between President Trump and the new President Emmanuel Macron of France. both former successful businessmen, both leaders of two very powerful countries, and two of the oldest allies going, basically. Knowing this, would the president look forward to an opportunity to bring this young president closer to him, maybe meeting on the borders at the G7, or maybe even inviting him here to the La Maison Blanche in the next few months?
If we have updates to share on additional individual leaders that he will be meeting with or meetings that he'll have during his trip, we'll be sure to give you an update on that. But with respect to whether it's the French president or any other head of government, the president looks forward to reasserting America's role in the world and reestablishing some of the relationships. And I think what you've seen so far, whether it's President Xi or Prime Minister Abe or other individuals, as you can see by the week that we're having this week with the UAE, Turkey, Colombia, the president has made it very clear that he is going to do everything he can to reestablish relationships around the globe to help protect and advance our national interests.
And this is a special one.
There are also, I mean,
The
look,
oldest one.
I agree.
Before we were
right.
Republic.
I understand. There is a lot of relationships that the president wants to strengthen for the good of this country.